From a little cover, I got my dreams inside. Wrestling on the mat, I go and put up a fight. With every hold and slam, I rise to the peak. Now as Professor Bear, it's my strength that they see. Roaring with knowledge like a lion so proud. In this wrestling world, I'm standing out loud. I'm Professor Bear, got the passion to spare. Wrestling's my life, with the power to share. From the roof to ropes, in the spotlight we gleam. Chasing victory dreams, living out the theme. Now my WOSN, my squad.
Yeah. Hey, new beginnings on the cusp. Not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul.
With my forest crew, we'll always ride. In the wrestling world, watch us claim the prize.
Welcome, and thank you for joining me this evening. I am Professor Bear, and this is a Bear's Thoughts. Guys, girls, again, just having such an amazing journey to get to talk to different promoters out there and learn the system as far as what goes on in the background and what these guys and girls go through to keep wrestling entertainment as fun as it can be for us. This one is particularly a very good promotion that I want to talk about because it is doing something that is, I think, is needed in the wrestling world. And after we get into it, I'm going to talk about something that irks me to death. But this company here does it the right way, and I don't have a problem with them doing a certain thing that bugs me when other promotions do. This is my good friend Rick, and he runs the Alliance Independent Wrestling Federation. Now, unlike a lot of different promotions, they have a system of different promotions literally around the world. And I love that. They have a system similar to the NWA. And if you know anything about me, I'm a big NWA mark. I love the history and everything. But before we dive into the great conversation, guys, girls, I want you to check out their logo. Now, again, wrestling is around the world. And a lot of times, a lot of companies have similar names or same names. So I want you to look at their logo to understand when you look them up, you know you've got the right company. And if you're anything like Professor, if it can be given easy to you, you would take it. So I put up a QR code that will take you to their Facebook page. So you need to go join and start becoming acclimated to this great organization. Now, Rick, the first thing I always love to ask my guest is, how did you become a wrestling fan?
Well, I have a very interesting. Oh, it's great to be here. By the way, the opening of this show blew me away. It's like I felt like, man, this is like a Hollywood production. I felt so privileged just to be here.
I appreciate that.
But my wrestling journey, I've told a lot of people, is an interesting one because I always say I got into wrestling by accident. Now, I become a fan, years and years ago, back in the 70s, when I would watch with my grandfather. A lot of people started that way, watching with their dad or their grandfather. Well, in the late 80s, early 90s, I always say that I got into wrestling by accident because I was home one day. This is the story I always tell. I was a Saturday morning. I was just sitting around at my house doing nothing. And a friend of mine stopped by and he said, hey, I've started training to be a wrestler. Do you want to ride with me to training? And I didn't have anything else to do. So I told him, I said, yeah, I'll ride with you. So I got over there and they talked me into starting training. And if I hadn't have been home that day, we wouldn't be sitting here talking, I guess. That's probably the way I like to tell it is if I hadn't been home, it was by accident. I just didn't have nothing else to do. And that was, I wrestled with that company for a little while. And then in 1992, I started the AIWF as just a local promotion running out of, the northwest part of North Carolina, in Mount Airy, North Carolina. And we did that for several years. We had a little local TV show in Martinsville, Virginia, and I had a talk show every Saturday morning for 4 years. I would get up and drive to Martinsville, Virginia, which is like almost 2 hours from Mount Airy, and I would do a live call-in talk show about wrestling. And I did that for 4 years, and then I would go to wherever the shows were that night in either North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, or Tennessee. That was our little area that we built it up to. Every weekend. We didn't miss a weekend. We was somewhere in one of those 4 states. I'd always go do that talk show in that morning and then come back and do the show that night. I come over. I live right in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I remember so many times coming back from West Virginia or Tennessee and topping that mountain, watching the sun come up. But we did that for quite some time. And like I said, we got really rolling. In those 4 states. And then in the late 90s and early 2000s, I had a friend of mine that was wrestling for us. I'd met him, throughout the thing. His name was AC. And I pitched this idea to him. I said, I would love to turn the AIWF. At the time, it was called the American Independent Wrestling Federation. I said, I'd love to turn it into an affiliate program based on the way the NWA has their members.
Right.
And their territories. And me and him talked about it. We sat down and worked on it for a while, made a website, because a lot of people don't realize the AIWF was around before the internet. So, back in the day, we would do our shows and go out and put out posters and flyers and everything. There was no internet back then.
Right.
But he had got pretty good with the internet in the early 2000s. And so he started us a website, and we found I think, a promotion in Tennessee, promotion in West Virginia, and a promotion in Ohio. That was the first ones that started out with us. And then we had our group here in North Carolina. And I changed the American to Allied Independent Wrestling Federations. And I put an S on the end of federation. So it really just worked out really well for the name. And we would travel around to the different, we had our AC was our heavyweight champion. We'd travel around. We'd go to Ohio, West Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, these different promotions. And he would defend the belt. And we did that for several years. And then a guy by the name of Matt Classic came in and started doing commentary for us. And a guy named Tim Dolan out of West Virginia became our marketing guy. It just started all coming together. And then Matt worked his way from announcer up to he's basically in charge of running the AIWF. I still own it. I still own the AIWF itself, but he runs it. And he's built it into 150 promotions around the world. We've got promotions in England, Singapore, Mexico. God, I can't tell you we've had titles defended in Africa, Europe. Our world titles been to Africa, it's been to Europe. We've had titles defended in Mexico, and we also have regional titles that are all over the world that are recognized by the AIWF. And it's just grown into such an amazing thing that all happened because I happened to be home one day.
But that's the thing about wrestling. And someone had said this to me, the interview I just done beforehand. The gentleman told me, he's like, I'm ready to do wherever God puts me, I'm ready. And that God put you at home with nothing to do to start this journey down the wrestling world. And
this year will be 34 years.
Oh, my goodness.
1992.
I love that. And I love that you have the NWA brand system. I'm be totally honest with you. I try not to dive too deep into any person that I'm going to talk to or promotion, because I like to learn when everybody else do. But with that being said, I've known of your company. I've followed different people throughout it. And the one thing, when I say my biggest, I mean my biggest pet peeve is a company saying they have a world title and don't go somewhere with the title.
I am so with you on that. I am so with you on that, because I've seen so many companies that barely travel 30 minutes from their home, and we got a world champion. I'm like, I just want to punch them.
See, me and you are definitely on the same vibe with that. But when I seen your world champion, I was like, I respect that, because they have promotions all over the world.
Well, and our world title, our world heavyweight title, has been defended. It's been to Africa. It's been to Mexico. It's been to Canada. Our world women's champion has now been to Canada. So, you know what I'm saying? It's been across the ocean. So it is a recognized, legitimate world title. It's not, we wrestle down here in whatever little town it is, and we have a world champion because we run one show a month. No, that's the beauty of the AIWF is the AIWF brand is actually, you could say it's seen in front of tens of thousands of people on a monthly basis. If you take every promotion, 150 of them, and they all run like once a week, you know what I'm saying? Or there's somebody somewhere running once a week. And if they have 100 fans, well, you don't need but 10 of them running that week to have 1,000 fans watching the AIWF.
And see, and here's something that if you're not an old school person like me and you don't understand.
Right.
You are legitimized by Pro Wrestling Illustrated. That is, people don't understand. If you are any type of wrestling fan, you can claim to be a world champion, have a world title, but if it wasn't legitimized by them, you were not a legitimate world title. And man, it blows me away, because it again, it sounds like you that you were like I was with the NWA. We know the NWA when they were the territory. They were the oldest brand around. And you didn't have a world champion. You had the world champion. And I love that I'm again, I'm a big territory guy. Love territories. And I tell people this all the time. We're back to the territorial days, but better, because you can watch any promotion damn near from anywhere around the world. And I love that wrestling has come that far, and being able to do different things like that.
Well, and
go
also
ahead.
on that note right there, we actually have a show that has just hit its 1 year mark. It's called AIWF Across the Globe, and it's on YouTube. You can look it up on YouTube, and it's also on some TV stations, legitimate TV stations up north in the United States. But it's called AIWF Across the Globe, and they highlight the different territories. They show matches from the different promotions in the in the AIWF. I mean, they may go to Mississippi, they may come here to the Mid-Atlantic on the same show. They may have a match from Indiana and Singapore on the same show, and it's amazing. It's hosted by RM Duke, does a great job, and we really respect these guys. Like I said, they're on some AIWF Across the Globe. Check them out, and you can see wrestling from all over the world under one banner.
Again, that is just such an amazing thing. When you came up with the concept, did you imagine that it was going to be this big?
No. I was actually very pleased when we had 4 affiliates. I was like, yeah, we're into something now. And like I said, when Matt Classic took over the helm, I guess,
right,
when he took over dealing with the affiliates and the day-to-day stuff internationally, when he took that over, he had this vision that I didn't even have. And he took this thing to heights that I could have never done it, because, he just got a vision, and he does really good with it. And he actually has brought it up to, like I said, 150 promotions around the world. And it's, and we're starting. We also have the AIWF network on YouTube that has, it's got like, oh my God, I seen it not too long ago. It's 1,300 videos. A lot of it's from the older days. We have classic stuff. We have newer stuff. We're starting to get some of the affiliates to get involved in it. I think it's had it's pushing about 700,000 views on the various videos. But that's another place where you can go and see a lot of stuff. It's run like a network. It has weekly shows that come on the same time every week. So
that is a beautiful thing. And I'm going to ask a question. How do you look at today's wrestling versus the wrestling that we saw when we grew up?
Well, I'll always be old school. I'll always be a fan of the Crockett promotions, the old WWF, the Texas wrestling. For some reason, I'm a huge Memphis fan.
Oh,
Memphis in the 80s was, I watch it because I didn't have it back then, but I can watch it now on YouTube, and it's some of the best stuff I have ever seen. Between Memphis and the Mid-Atlantic, Crockett era, that was wrestling. Today, it's just guys jumping around and acting. I mean, they get in the ring, they cut long promos. A lot of it is scripted. Where back in the day, you could tell if a guy he genuinely felt what he was saying. A lot of times it felt more real, because sometimes they would stumble their words and it actually sounded a little goofy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't really know what, but they sounded nervous, and it just give it this feeling of reality, because I remember I went for a couple of years after I got into the business thinking Stan Hansen was a maniac and he would really kill somebody someday. I mean, that guy don't know the business. He's really hurting people.
Yes.
But he was so good. I mean, he was just so good at making you think he was this crazy Texan who would just beat you into a bloody mess if he got his hands on you. And I loved that. Where today, I don't know that. Don't get me wrong. I like today's wrestling. I watch more independents than I do the mainstream. But it's almost like they're not doing a wrestling production. They're doing a movie, or you know what I'm saying? It's more of a TV show now than it used to be.
To me, it's it's in the name. They're sports entertainment.
Yes,
they're truly that versus pro wrestling.
Yeah,
and there is a difference.
Oh God, yes.
And I think a lot of times I tell people this too. I said the reason why I said most people, if you talk to older wrestling fans, they're going to tell you in a minute they appreciate older wrestling because it drew something in us. We believe. They made us believe everything that they said and did.
Right.
And one particular one I was just telling someone else about is I said the promo after Magnum TA was in his car wreck and he was at the television station and he was starting to get involved and he had a baseball bat with him. Tully Blanchard came out and he told him, he's like, you know what? You get on my nerves, but I respect you. I understand, but you need to understand you don't need to be out here unless you're gonna fight. Yeah. Unless you're gonna fight, then you go away. I got to live with 2 years of hearing I quit. So go back, wherever you want to go, get yourself ready to come back as a competitor. Because if you come back here, I'm gonna hurt you.
Right.
And then he hit him. And I told people it drew everybody. I said Dusty ran out, hit Jim Crockett, beat up Tully, choked him with the bat. I said nobody could tell you that was staged. Nobody.
No, because it had such a it looked personal. They made it look personal. It didn't look scripted. It didn't look planned. It didn't look rehearsed. It was personal. And that's what made it so good. Right now, to this day, WWE cannot go to the same building every Monday night and sell it out like Crockett used to do. Crockett used to go to the same building on Monday, same building on Tuesday. They'd go to Columbia, South Carolina, or Greensboro, North Carolina, weekly and sell out a Coliseum.
Yep.
They can't do that nowadays.
And the thing is, I want people to understand. We're not saying that the wrestling today they can't wrestle. No, we would be idiots to say that. But there's rarely times. I'm not saying they don't do it from time to time, but it's rarely where you can invest so much into what they're saying, where you have to sit here and think, "Well, damn, was that real, or are they just acting real good?" You can tell. You feel like you can tell they got some real legitimate heat on each other,
right? And nowadays,
you draws you in.
There used to be an old saying, back in the 80s and 90s, that the wrestlers talked the fans into the building. They talked them in their promos, their interviews, and now you don't know if the fans are coming because the wrestlers talked them into it, or if they just like seeing the production. Exactly. You know, the flames and the big movie projectors or whatever, and the big screens, and all that stuff. Because I've never been a fan of Coliseum Wrestling live. I mean, I have, but I'd rather watch it with a commentary. I want somebody
Yes.
telling me a story while it's going on instead of me having to figure it out in my head.
Right.
But as a promoter, you know, I love the live wrestling. So that's why, you know, I tell all my guys, even today when we do shows, we're here to tell the fans a story and we want them to be able to follow along. So we have to do it right. You know, we can't just go out there and cut flips. We have to do certain things to keep these fans interested. And I feel like I've been doing it pretty good because I've been running the same town for 34 years and still drawing a crowd.
Oh yeah, definitely. You wouldn't have conquered the world if you didn't know what y'all were doing. I mean, let's just be real. And one of the things is another thing that I love with having so many different affiliates and motion. You can get so much difference in the same company.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And that also speaks volumes to, okay, maybe they're not part of, they don't like the mid-Atlantic stuff, but the hell, they may like our stuff that we got in Texas. It may speak to them differently. And that's where a lot of people don't understand that wrestling is just a general term. There's so many different styles of wrestling. There's different art forms that people don't really understand unless you are a true fan of it.
And one of the things that we do, that we've been doing for several years now, and it's coming up in 4 weeks, I think, the third weekend in March, we do our anniversary show here in Mount Airy. We've always done it here in Mount Airy because that's where it all started. And this is our 34th anniversary show that we're doing. And we have wrestlers come from all over the world. We've got a promoter that comes from Africa. That I got to know him last year really well because I drove him back to the bus station because he was taking a bus down to Florida so he could grab a plane. And me and him talked on about a 40-minute ride. And I really like this guy. And he comes every year. And this year, our anniversary show actually grew to where it's a 3-day event now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, here in Mount Airy. I think it's the 20th, 21st, and 22nd or something like that, somewhere around in there at the Mount Airy Armory. And we're going to have Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon because we have so many wrestlers come from Canada and all over the United States and Africa. And I think we might have some coming from Europe this year. I'm not really sure. But it's just got so big. And that is where we always draw really good because they get to see all these different styles come together, all these different matches from these different promotions, and the fans really get a chance to enjoy that. And we do it every year in March. So, but it's really a great event. And like I said, this year it's got to where it's 3 days now. I think Friday night we're doing our Hall of Fame. A lot of people don't realize our Hall of Fame is older than most wrestling promotions. Because our Hall of Fame started in 2005, so it's 21 years old.
Oh wow!
And it's got hundreds of wrestlers in it. And it's big names: Wahoo McDaniel, Ivan Koloff's in it, Jimmy Valiant's in it, Gary Hart, Sir Oliver Humperdinck. China is in it because she started here.
Oh wow!
About a month before she got, if you read her book, about a month before she got hired with at WWF, she wrestled here in Mount Airy for us, and she took a copy of the match that she had here and showed it to Triple H and Shawn Michaels, and they loved it so much they went straight to Vince and said hire her. So we kind of like to say we helped China get hired at WWF because of the match she showed them up there that night.
Wow, that's amazing. So with that being said, I can imagine how many guys and girls that y'all have helped elevate to the next level. Is do y'all also have a training center?
We have, well, a lot of our promotions, we don't have an actual AIWF training facility, but we did for a while in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It was run by a company called C4W that has went out of business now, but they run a training facility, the AIWF training facility down there. And actually, God, I can't think of his name now. I'm sorry. He's in AEW right now, which we've got 2 wrestlers that come from here in AEW right now. Adam Page, Hangman Adam Page is one. You can see him. You can see Adam Page all over the AIWF network in some of the old AIWF like Cyber Zone episodes when he barely weighed 180 pounds. He's on a lot of those back in the early to mid 2000s when he was here. And Wheeler Yuta. That's the other. That's the one that come out of the AIWF training. Yeah, Wheeler Yuta came from here too. And if we have it's really funny because we have a Christmas thing that we done for here to Mid-Atlantic where we took a bunch of our wrestlers. We done it for the ladies. It's on the AIWF network too. We put them all in bath towels and had them sing "Dashing Through the Snow." And Wheeler Yuta is in that video singing Jingle Bells. That's what it was. before he got famous.
Oh, wow.
And, the Bravado brothers used to be with Ring of Honor.
Wow.
They came from here. You can see them in some of our older stuff too.
So, and generally I would ask what's the company's goal, but y'all have been so well established. What else, honestly, could y'all accomplish?
I really don't know what else we could accomplish, but my goal is for this thing to go long after I'm gone. I mean, you know, and me and Matt Classic have talked about, you know, someday he's going to find somebody to succeed him.
Right.
You know, and when I'm gone, the AIWF will be structured so that it can be run by the participants, by the members. And that's what I would like to see, is it have a board. And we've got a board now, but I'd like to see the board really come together, make this thing grow. Because we have a championship board, I think, like Paul Roma's on it. And the guy was Downtown Bruno. I think he's on our board. So, I mean, you know, there's Harvey Whippleman, I think. I can't remember.
Yes. That's my buddy. Matter of fact, I had him on, and me and him became real quick friends. He's a very genuine person.
Sir Mo, that used to be with Men on a Mission. He was our commissioner for a while. So, I mean, we have touched so many names. I think Hernandez.
Oh, from
he runs one of our affiliates out of Texas.
All right, cool.
So, I mean, we're really touching a lot of big names. A lot of fans know about us. I love doing a little podcast like this and telling about our history because it always helps us grow even more. You know, I want the AIWF to be a name people recognize. I'm pretty sure we're there now, but I don't know. The only regret I have is that we haven't been acknowledged as much by like the major wrestling podcast. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like Matt Men and Wrestling Observer Live, you know, the guys like that. Now I've done so many of these little podcasts like you got. Right. I'm not saying you're little, because my God, look at this set we're on here. I told you it's like being on a Hollywood production. I love it. But I've done podcasts from overseas, you know, stuff like that. And I to be honest with you, I've never had a bad experience on one. Everybody's always been so gracious and kind. You guys are awesome. So one step at a time, you know.
Right.
Maybe someday I'll have some big news company call me up and say, hey, we want to talk about the AIWF. Maybe ESPN will catch us off this podcast here.
Right. Well, and see, here's the thing that I love about this. You're big, but you're quietly big.
Yeah.
And what you're waiting on, and I understand it, you're waiting for that bubble to burst. So the mainstream people be like, who is this? What they have? Wow. So I definitely understand where you're coming from, and I think y'all are at the y'all right at that level where it's going to happen sooner than I think you even realize it is. I mean, you clearly have put in the work. You, like I said, legitimate world heavyweight championship. You have so many different wrestling titles, and that's something else in my mind. Like, if I could run let's say that me and you are talking, and I'm like, hey, something I always wanted to see when I was a kid and loved the NWA structure. I would love to see a tournament built for the champions and let them go at it. And then the winner of that is come up with a name, the ultimate champion. And the ultimate champion got to take on the world heavyweight champion at some big event. Could be a homecoming event. That way it helps provide guys and let them know, hey, you have different ways of getting a shot at the world title. If you hold the title, be a consistent champion, when that tournament comes up, you can show what you can do and why you should have the next title shot.
Well, there's actually been something like that has actually happened. It's like, but it's more of a regional thing. We've had regional companies do tournaments, like to crown a number one contender, and,
Right.
and the champion will come in, and wrestle him. We done it last year. We had our world champion went from North Carolina to Indiana, and wrestled their top contender, and then it's like, I think he was scheduled in West Virginia. I can't remember if he went to West Virginia. I mean, it's just, and then he done some stuff in Tennessee. So, and that was when our world champion was based here in the Mid-Atlantic. And I think the world champion is actually Eric Draven, I think, is our world champion now. So it changes, and I sometimes, like I focus so much on the Mid-Atlantic, sometimes I have to ask Matt Clant, who's world champion now? Because you never know. But I think it's Eric Draven out of Indiana right now, and he's coming in for the anniversary show this year to defend the belt here in North Carolina.
And again, I guess I'm a big NWA nerd. You can't see all of them, but I got the NWA tag titles, the world television title, the US title, the big gold belt. So again, for me, that's what I love. I love that era of wrestling, and I'm so glad that it's still alive, and y'all are keeping it going current. It is such a, for me, that's how all companies should run.
I know exactly what you're talking about when you talk about that, because I was talking to my wife a couple months ago, and I told her, because she was with me. We got married not long after I started AIWF, and so she's been there from the beginning. She was there when we was, taking the house payment to make the rent on the Armory, because we was drawing low crowds when we first got started.
Right.
But I looked at her and I said, can you just can you wrap your brain around the fact that we went from that to now I can see a wrestler standing in the middle of a ring in Mexico City holding up a belt that says AIWF on it. I mean, you know, and that's just amazing. It's just so hard to grasp that this little thing that I started back in 1992. And literally, I started it because the company I was wrestling for, I didn't like the way they done business. So I'm like, I can do better. And everybody's like, no, you can't. I mean, well, I don't know. Maybe I could. But that little thing that I remember the first business part. I've had one business partner my entire life in this business. And, you know, an actual partner. We were 50-50 partners. When we first started the AIWF, within 6 months, he come to me and said, I don't want to do it no more. We're never going to be able to do anything with it. It'll never go anywhere. It's going to fail. I'm like, all right, I'll do it myself. But just imagining back then, and like I said, now we have an AIWF Asian champion, an AIWF European champion, I mean, an AIWF Latin America champion, AIWF Canadian. I mean, you know, and I'm just like, my God. Sometimes I just sit and it's like a dream. But it's there. And I'm like amazed by it. And I can never stop thanking the promoters that's with this AIWF that's took the chance and come under our banner. I'll never be able to appreciate them enough because they're the backbone of this thing. Matt Classic, you know, he keeps it all together, but all these promoters out here that do what they do, and the guys with the AIWF across the globe, you know, they have permission to use their footage, and it's just these guys are the AIWF. They are the heart and soul of it.
I love it. It's amazing when you can get someone to see your vision and they believe and they go as hard as if it was their own because they believe in it so much. And I definitely get that. I mean, that's how I do with WSN. It's my partner's vision, but he sold me so deeply on it that you wouldn't be able to tell that it's not mine because that's how much I believe in it.
Well, that's one thing that I can say from experience is that in wrestling, if you believe and you stick to it hard enough and you don't give up, I mean, you can do anything. I'm living proof of that. I remember in 2020, because a lot of people don't know, in 1999, the BBC network from England sent a guy by the name of Louis Theroux to the United States to do a wrestling documentary. And it's called Louis Theroux's Weird Weekends. And he come over and they filmed WCW, and they filmed several companies in the Southeast.
Right.
But the only one that they used the footage from was us. So it's half the show was WCW and half the show was AIWF.
Oh, wow.
And they show it's you can find it on YouTube. Just put in Louis Theroux wrestling and it'll come up. But and like I said, that was in 1999. In 2020, I went to England with my world champion, Kevin Phoenix, at the time. I traveled to England with him and took my family, and we just made a vacation out of it. And I got to see Louis. Hadn't seen him in, 20 years. But something really strange happened over there while I was there. We went to a show. Kevin defended the title against Gangrel in England. And while we were there, I went back in the dressing room, I noticed that none of the wrestlers would talk to me. I thought, oh, God, they hate me because I'm an American. I've done something to them. I felt really weird.
Right.
Well, later that night, we all went out to eat at this little pub, they called it over there. And the promoter come up to me and talked to me. And I asked him, I said, have I done something to offend the boys? And he said, no, they're afraid to talk to you. I said, why? He said, brother, you're a celebrity here. What are you talking about? He said, the Louis Theroux documentary that they showed us, and they've been showing it. They showed it for 15 years over there on TV. he said that video, that documentary changed wrestling in the UK.
Wow.
I'm like, no, ain't no way. He said, yeah. He said the way you guys presented it, because we kind of broke kayfabe before Vince McMahon did. We told a lot of things on that, but we probably shouldn't have. But we were always cutting, we were always kind of pushing the envelope like that.
Right.
But he said that the wrestlers in the UK watched that, and he said it changed a lot of the way people done business over there. And he said that was why the wrestlers, they wasn't, I guess maybe afraid wasn't the right term, but they was nervous about talking to me because of that documentary. I'd never had that happen to me before. And I was just like, my God. So, but I love the guys in England too. They're so awesome. The UK Pit Bulls was our European tag team champions for a while, Bulk and Dave. And Bulk, a lot of people don't know, but one of them was just in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was when they was attacking the compound in the desert. He was the big guy with the big heavy set guy that was up on behind the fence or something. I can't remember. It's hard to explain. But yeah, he was in that movie. So I mean, there's something else that somebody from the AIWF has done. And it's just so amazing how much reach and how many people we've touched over the years. How many lives we've touched over the years, over the past 30 years. It's amazing. Like I said, one of the bravados is in NXT right now. Chase U.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a bravado. He was one of the bravado brothers that it was started right here. I mean,
So here's my question. And you kind of already touched on it, but as a podcaster, it's you get stuff told to you, things that you may not have thought is possible. Like yourself, I found out that people in the UK was watching my podcast, and that blew me away. I'm like, what? Like, me and the gentleman were talking. He's like, yeah, man, I watch your stuff all the time. You're very good. I'm like, okay, you know what? You're already coming on the show. You ain't got to kiss up too. He's like, no, I'm telling you, you're really. We think you do very well. So okay, and I'm like, wow, okay. Then I went to a show, like I usually do. I know the promoter, me and him, very cool. And I come in, I see another podcaster, we talk to him, we cut up. I go to get my seat. All of a sudden, I saw a wrestler come running, him and his girlfriend. And I'm like, I think to myself, man, somebody must have really did something, because they were he come looping around the ring, and then I'm thinking, oh shit, are they coming towards me? And they did. And the look on his face, I'm thinking, what could I've done? I'm like, oh shit, I'm in some kind of trouble. He's like, oh my God, Professor Barrett, how you doing, man? I'm a great fan of yours. And I'm like, what?
That's awesome.
So I just standing there and letting him talk, and he's like, man, this is good. Hey, can I get a picture with you? What? I was like, now, you do realize that this is supposed to be the other way around, right? I'm supposed to be fanning out to you. You're the pro wrestler. I'm just a podcaster. No, you ain't just a podcaster, man. You be talking, and you always put up for the independent guys, and you're just real good. And I'm like, this is crazy. So
I love when stuff like that happens.
I understand it, but it still overwhelms me to think people, like last year, I got put into a Hall of Fame. I'm like, me and the guy who he was on the board. He's like, hey, buddy, we want you to go into the Hall of Fame. What Hall of Fame? The Wrestling Hall of Fame. Okay, yeah, I can do some interviews for you. No, we want you to be a part of the Hall of Fame. I'm like, get the hell out of here. You know, man, stop playing. He's like, no. He said, I'm dead serious. I'm like, no. I said, I would dare not insult the women and men who do what they do for a living to get put in the Hall of Fame. I didn't earn it. We go back and forth. Finally, he's like, look, man, people respect you. You do a great job. You always are trying to help indie promotions and indies and overall. He said, you show respect and everything. He's like, you're going, or I'm going to come put you in a headlock until you say yes. So I was like, okay, cool. There ain't no need to be violent. I'm going.
Well, and that's the thing. See, the Wrestling Hall of Fame and Vince McMahon kind of changed the rules on this. It ain't just about wrestlers anymore. It's about who makes a contribution. That's like this year we're putting Louis Theroux in our Hall of Fame after 20 years after he done the documentary, because he made a contribution.
Exactly.
And you've made a contribution to the business. So that's how you earned your spot.
And
Don't think about turning it down. I mean, I'm glad you didn't. I'm glad you went in, because I'm sure you do deserve it.
Well, and I guess that's the point that I feel like, and like I said, it just taken me a while to understand and to appreciate that what I'm doing is reaching so many people.
Right.
And I have so much respect for the business. There's certain things I wouldn't do until I felt like I earned it. Like last year, I got a chance to go to Dallas and be a part of this company where I got to cut a promo, go into the ring, and on top of that, it was an all cage match event. So my first time going in the ring in a cage match. Oh man, I'm just oh wow, oh great. So we're standing in the back and we're talking about different things, and I'm sitting there, my first time in the gorilla position, and it's like, holy crap, this is real. I mean, it's just hit me how real it is. I had a chance to go to the locker room. I said, nope. Until I feel like I earned that privilege, I'd rather not. No disrespect to none of the guys, but this is how much I respect what they do.
Right.
So when I had to go out, I had my music playing, and I had heard of the tunnel vision you get when you come out. And as soon as I came out, it immediately happened to me. I couldn't hear my music anymore. I couldn't see anything except the little walkway, what I was supposed to do. And it felt like it took me forever to get around that ring, and it was a couple of seconds. But it felt like, oh my God. Then I thought to myself, this is why these guys and girls love this business.
Oh God, yeah.
If I was in the ability to do this for a living, oh my God, I would do it every time. But
and, you're talking about all cage match shows. I have yet to find anybody who's done an all cage match show before we did, because we done our first one in 1997.
Oh wow!
And it's called Deal with the Steel, and we've been doing it every year since 1997. So, God, whatever, it's almost 30 years, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's really amazing, that I can look back on that, because right now we do them every August, and last year we did Deal with the Steel in 3 states on 3 different shows.
Oh,
in
wow.
North Carolina, Virginia, and Tennessee. We had 3 nights of Deal to Steal in 3 different states. And I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, we had another show that we started back in the 90s called Fright Night. And we done it on a Friday night, and we filmed it on a Friday night in England and a Saturday night in North Carolina. So that show was done on 2 different continents one
Man.
year. And there's so many things that the AIWF has done because of this affiliate program that it's just mind blowing, that nobody else can do, may never do.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to say how many that any other wrestling promotion can do, and on the indie circuit can do the one show 2 nights on 2 different continents, and it be filmed.
So this is something that I asked another promotion, and to me, you're not just an indie promotion. You are upper tier of what an indie promotion can be. Just like another promotion I talked about, and it's no disrespect to anybody, but just the fact that y'all are top tier, y'all have things bigger and better than the others. And again, like I said, it's no disrespect to them, but when you look at the landscape and how things are set, you're right there with GCW. You're there with Ring of Honor. You again, that it's like, okay, if I'm gonna be an indie worker, I want to go here, here, here. I definitely want to go here. I want to be a part of your banner because y'all it's nowhere to go but the majors after working under your banner. How does that make you feel as looking at your product like that? You are the I don't want you are the top you're one of the top minor leagues. If you're in there, damn it, you're gonna see the talent on national TV. How does that make you feel?
Again, it's kind of hard to wrap your brain around that this little thing that I started back in 1992 in Mount Airy, North Carolina, has got to the point to where a wrestler can send his resume to us at our email, aiwf20@hotmail.com, and we could take that resume and go into our little message board that has all these promoters in it, and I could post that resume in that board, and his resume gets seen by promoters all over the world. And he may be near, where he's from, like if he's in Florida or, Missouri or wherever, he may be near one of those promoters who's looking for some fresh talent.
Right.
That happens a lot with us. They got one place that they can send their resume to, and it go out all over the world. So that is it like, again, I've said it more times I probably should, but it's hard to imagine that in your mind, that it's become that.
You have become the modern day Crockett's. You've become the modern day NWA. Your standard for professional wrestling is up there.
And I
And
appreciate that. Thank you.
and the thing is, we appreciate you because if it wasn't for your vision, for your desire, for you not having nothing to do on a Saturday,
On a Saturday at night, yeah.
wrestling wouldn't be where it is today. And I know I speak for all the fans that understand where I'm coming from and for all the success and opportunities you've given people and all the great wrestling action. We definitely want to tell you thank you because you are one of those people that makes wrestling such a beautiful place, and it gives us something to look forward to when we're having the roughest time, when we're down and out, we're sad, whatever, and we can take a couple hours to forget about that because you provided some great action for us to smile and say, you know what? The world ain't as bad as we think it is.
Well, and I want to take that thought and pass it on to all the promoters in the AIWF that wrestles under the AIWF banner, and say that same thing goes out to each and every one of them, because in their respective territories, that's what they do week after week, is they bring wrestling to the fans. And what we do at the AIWF is we try to take all of that and put it in one place so that the fans in Minnesota can see wrestling in Texas or Mexico or England, you know what I'm saying? Or
Right.
China. We got Singapore. That's what the AIWF network does. That's what the AIWF across the globe does. As a group, we take all these wonderful promotions and we put them all in a pot and mix them all up and serve it up to the world.
Love it. Again, I want to thank you for coming on the show. This has been such a great interview. I've loved talking to you. One thing that I would definitely offer from my company, WSN, is open opportunity. Anytime you would like to come on, talk about anything, we can talk. Again, anything. You more than welcome, and anything we can do to help push your brand out there just a little bit more, we'd be so glad to help and do that.
Well, make sure that I get a link to this.
Oh yeah,
so that we can show it on everything, and I can push it to all the promoters, and their champions can come on and talk to you. I mean, I think that would be awesome. And again, like I said before we started, I apologize for this weird camera view I got, but I tried to pull it up on my phone. It wouldn't work. So I'm in my little office that I made in a camper I own, old camper. So I made me an office out here. So I had to scramble around and grab my my webcam. So that's why it looks a little weird. So I had to do it at the last minute. So I apologize if I don't look as professional as I should.
Oh, it's okay. And see, this is something too that I think a lot of people do not understand. I don't care if you are the top of the food chain, or you're the bottom, or you're in the middle. It doesn't stop you from being professional at any time. It's how you carry yourself and handles yourself that makes you professional, not the looks, or like you were talking about my background.
Again, this is amazing. Just sitting here looking at this. I love this little setup you got here.
And funny enough, this is my third different one. I try to keep it fresh, and it gives me a chance to use my creative side and some of our guys' creative side, because we've came up with a lot of stuff. And the first thing I was like, okay, I'm embarrassed. So that means I got to be in the woods. Gotta have a wooded theme.
Yeah, the theme fits perfectly.
Is there any, before we leave, is there anyone you would like to give a shout out to? Any specific shows coming up? This is your time, my friend.
Well, like I said, we've got our anniversary show coming up on the third weekend of March in Mount Airy, North Carolina. If you're in the area, grab a hotel, stay for the whole weekend. It's going to be awesome. I mean, there is wrestlers coming from all over the world to it. I wished I could just sit here and run off a list of all the promotions and all their shows. There's a show in Indiana that runs weekly, Tennessee that runs weekly, Check out like I said, check out the AIWF across the globe on YouTube, the AIWF network on YouTube, because there's new stuff on there, old stuff from the early 2000s on there. There's stuff on there with some of the biggest names ever in this business that's come through the AIWF. There's stuff on there from the older stuff from guys you see now weekly, like Hangman Adam Page, Wheeler Yuta, Chase U up in NXT. You know, all those guys came through here. It's a lot of nostalgia, a lot of good stuff. Check out the AIWF network. And I want to do a shout out to Matt Classic and all the promoters from all over the world of the AIWF. Again, you guys are the backbone of this. You guys are what keeps us fresh, keeps us going. And I cannot say how much I appreciate each and every one of you. I cannot tell you enough how important you are to the vision that I've had for 30 plus years. So other than that, I'm good to go. I'm old. It's almost bedtime.
Look, I'm 52. I'm with you. I get laughed at a lot because I tell people, I'm like, well, I stay up late. And they're like, why? I say, because I grandfather in to that. I'm used to working late nights. I just the way I am. So when I tell you I'm about to go to sleep, believe you me when I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, when people like us, we ready for bed, that's it. We done.
Well, again, thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime. Guys, girls, thank you for joining us for this great interview. I've said it once and I will say it again. We do not understand or know or appreciate how much a promoter does to give us great action for a couple of hours to help us get away from our problems and enjoy pro wrestling. It's an amazing thing. And you go to a show and you get a chance to meet the owner, make sure you let them know how much you appreciate them and the wrestlers, because I can tell you firsthand from getting to talk to owners and to wrestlers, they really do appreciate the love and support that we give them. They really do.
And the guys you see on a Saturday night in your local armory, maybe the guys in the future that you see walking down that aisle at WrestleMania. You never know.
And it's funny you say that, because that's what I always tell my fans. Every time before I leave, I always go with this message: support your local indie promotion. You never know who you will see going through their journey down the line being a major superstar somewhere. So please support it.
And let me tell you why. Because it's just hit me, because I'm old again. This Saturday night at Elimination Chamber, WWE, if you want to see where Javon Evans wrestled before he became who he is now, go to the AIWF network. He's on there as Jay Malachi.
I actually did see one match of his already on there.
So yeah, I mean, he's in there with who is it, Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. And,
yep.
You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't but about a year ago he was working at Veterans Park with us. So I love him to death, man. I'm so proud of him.
That's why you should always support your local, because you never know who's going through there and where they may be. And exactly. I say this too. This time is much better because local, the prices are not going up to kill you. You can still take your family. Y'all can still get souvenirs and food and still come out with money. it is priced for a family.
Right.
And how many places do you actually get to meet the wrestlers and talk to them, get them to sign autographs? You can have that. Now, again, I always say I'm not saying it's better, I'm not saying it's worse, but what I'm telling you, the atmosphere for an indie wrestling promotion is definitely different. I feel like you go to a family reunion. You may not know anybody by name, but I guarantee you by the time you come out, you've made a new friend. And after a couple of times, you made new family members.
There you go.
So please support that. With that being said, I am Professor Bear. This has been a Bear's Thought, and we will see you around the campfire very, very soon. Y'all have a great, great evening.